Conspiracy? Oh, okay. So now you're gonna look at me like I need a tinfoil hat on. As if they don't got V2K, MK Ultra, two-way radio frequency satellites, cameras everywhere, OnStar, smart devices. You tell me. Artificial intelligence wanna shadow us. All for the clamor and views, they playing cyber. It's a game. The wine of Babylon got them shorties power drunk. In the Oculus, training like a school shooter. Got the Neuralink moving through they fried medullas. Circuits cross, Johnny Five, are they even alive? They created Frankenstein, let the blind lead the blind. It's the MRA, magnetic fields, radio waves. Now it's flowing through their veins, through the eye of a needle. Precursor to the mark of the beast. Why can't they see it? Broad path to destruction, my Lord. I pray you free us. They be watching when we speaking the truth. But non-believers, no control, but they thinking they God. They so conceited. My Lord, that's my rock and my fortress, so I ain't grieving as the time draws nearer. Gotta see this much clearer. Constantly checking the man that's in the mirror. If you still see your soul, just know that the world fears you. Born to be resilient, these bots can never kill you. We the glitch in the matrix, parallel in spaces. I've been running to my goals like I'm rocking some 8-6. This a makeshift alternative X reality. Deep fake setting the stage for more casualties and paralyzers that really erase memories. Cloning labs where they harvest the soul energy. Backmasking, all they producers is doing sorcery. Force the Lord's hand, the Lord, and put a voice in me. Flip it like a trumpet and force the damn world to see the signs of the time. You calling it a conspiracy? So we gonna act like after the river Euphrates dried up, all hell ain't start breaking loose. We gonna act like after people got the slice, they ain't start collapsing and getting blood clots. They got all this biometrics, pseudoscience, CERN, conspiracy. Ha!
So look at this. You're in London, you're on a business trip, you're staying in Greenwich, and you want to buy some food. So you go into the local Aldi's, like this one, and you think, I'm going to go in here and buy some food so that I can feed myself. And then you approach the barrier, and look, you can't even get in the shop without having a QR code to scan here, or to scan here, and then you can go and buy things. Now this looks to me like the beginning stages of the digital prison that we keep talking about. What do you think?
Oh, yeah. It's here, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking about the digital prison. As you enter the broadcast, make sure you pound the like button on your way in. Also put a 1 in the chat if y'all can hear me clearly. Let's see here. I see brothers and sisters rolling in pretty quick. What's going on? Joy's in the building. Double D Animations in the house. Son of Thunder, Anita. I see the ones living in abundance. Yes, shout out to everybody living amongst the living, right? Or living amongst the dead, but you can see. Because it's like, I don't think people really paying attention to what's going on in the world because there's a lot of distractions out there. And not only that, the system is very meticulous and incrementally ciphering certain laws on the books and making certain moves, which is pretty much mentally dilapidating people because they're slow roasting them. And with all the distractions, people just not paying attention to the signs of the times. And in today's broadcast, I'm really talking to serious-minded people today. People who understand what the next move is. People who are active. People who ain't just talking out here. So for you all who came for just simply entertainment, that's not what you get over here. You're going to get a real fervent message that's going to shake you up from the core to actually provoke you to stand up and fight for yourself. Seriously, that's what this is about, fighting for what is yours. Now, what's going on in these grocery stores is going to affect us in many ways. We're talking about our food supply. If somebody can control the food supply, they control the people. Don't you get it? They can control the food, they control the people. And we already know what the scriptures say, that they will cause all, small and great, free and bond, rich or poor, to receive a mark on their right hand or in their forehead. Say if he have the mark which bears 666, they won't be able to buy or sell. Now, it's not talking about all people when it says all. It's talking about people from all walks of life. That's why it goes on to say rich and poor, free and bond. So it's giving you a description of the type of people who would fall for the digital prison. Because the digital prison is coming. The matrix is here. There's already hundreds and thousands, if not millions of people who already have the mark of the beast walking among you, brothers and sisters, right now. Yeah. Some of the people that you think you can love and trust, they actually bear the mark, the image of the beast. And they're walking around already prepared for the rollout of QR codes in grocery stores as far as interest goes. These things are very real. But what does real righteous believers of Christ, of the Bible, of the Most High, what do they do in preparation for such a time that we live in? Or do we just sit back and do nothing for ourselves? Although we know anytime there's some type of disaster going on, when we know there's some type of pandemic or some type of fallout in society where grocery stores that are local to you are not getting the trucks, that's all it really takes. So what do we do? What do we do? Do we move accordingly? Or do we sit back? Well, let's talk about it. All right. I see people in the chat. Moshe says NPCs are running rampant out here. Yes, they are. Yes, we got to talk about all of that because, there's a lot of people who have been hacked and they running around literally zombies. You are living amongst the dead, ladies and gentlemen. Not everybody can even have conversations such as the one we having right now because most people just want to hear celebrity bullshit. I don't have time for that as a man of the faith. I know that we must be preparing for certain things. And it's my responsibility to put the information out there, right? Now, everything around you is a matrix, ladies and gentlemen. It's not real. You're looking at a society right now that's being digitally coded. You're in a simulation. This is not the world. This is not the same world that the Most High gave us. He's given it into the hands of the wicked for a short amount of time. This is not the original conception of reality. We're talking about the Garden of Eden. This is not what reality is supposed to be. There's a lot of things that's going on that's out of this world, bro. Even your vegetation. We're going to talk about agriculture today, and we're going to talk about solutions, right? Of how to properly deal with agriculture. It's going to be very educational, but at the same time, you got to take this serious. They're digitally remastering and coding vegetables and fruit. The food is not even real. The food is not real. It's actually, they have technology now, ladies and gentlemen. Bill and Melinda Gates with the Appeal program. This is what they're doing. A lot of the fruits and vegetables you see are not even real. Now, what do you mean not even real? I mean, they're a product of the matrix. They're not real at all. And I'm going to explain how to look out for some of these things until we can all be in one place and actually building, planting together, and we're doing what we're commanded to do. I'm going to tell you what to look out for with this stuff, right? Because you don't want to bite of their forbidden fruits, man. You really don't. You know what I'm saying? Let's get to it. Let me see. There's a particular video I want to share with y'all. Here it goes.
That's why I'm avoiding anything with this label on it. APL makes a produce seal designed to keep oxygen out of fruits and veggies to slow the rate at which they spoil. Some of the red flags with APL are that it cannot be washed off, and we don't yet know the long-term health impacts of this. But the biggest red flag to me is that they're promoting it as a way to eat food that's a month old. As a nutritionist, I tell people that the older food is, the more living enzymes and nutrients it loses. Check it out, spinach can lose 90% of the vitamin C in just 24 hours. So while this may be a way to preserve food, it's not necessarily giving you any nutrients. It feels like yet another way for Bill Gates, who by the way funded the company, to profit while our health suffers. And while they say one benefit is to reduce food waste, now we're literally eating the waste. It's mainly being used on fruits right now. Here's a list. I'm planning on using the store locator on their website to avoid stores that carry it. Shopping at your local farmer's market is another way you may be able to avoid it.
This is crazy right here, ladies and gentlemen. Deuteronomy 22:9 says, "Thou shalt not sow the vineyard with diverse seeds, lest the fruit of thy seed, which thou hast sown, and the fruit of thy vineyard be defiled." Now we wonder why Bill Gates is buying up all the damn farmland. We wonder why the rich elitists are copping all the farmland, because they want to defile all the fruits and vegetation. They're not doing agriculture the way the Bible would have it. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that, because if you were to follow the scriptures, right? If you were to follow the scriptures with how to plant, how to conduct agriculture, this land would be so fruitful. It will be plenteous. We would not have no issues with food, right? With vegetation at all. No turning back 84, man. Thank you for the 20 cents. Facts, new breed. Keep bringing the knowledge. Absolutely. Absolutely. The scriptures give us a very descriptive way that we should go about things. First and foremost, the Bible tells us, and we're just going to touch on this a little bit so you all can understand how far gone society is opposed to how we're supposed to be doing things, right? First and foremost, and we got to go back towards the beginning with our law, because it's ways we're supposed to do things. Leviticus 19:23 tells us, and when you shall come into the land and shall have planted all manners of trees for food, then ye shall count the fruit thereof as uncircumcised. 3 years shall that be uncircumcised unto you, it shall be eaten. It shall be eaten of. Now peep this. What do they mean by that? Now we know the circumcision or uncircumcision represents uncleanliness, right? In the Bible. So what it's telling you is that when plants, vegetations, all livestock, all of these things are growing from the roots, you're supposed to let them die for a season. So here it is. They're coming up with this technology trying to stop fruit from dying. Right? Totally against the Bible. You're actually supposed to allow the fruit to die for a season while it's growing before it's edible. So a lot of the fruit you see with these little lemons and these little apples, listen, biblically, that the fruit was humongous. Why? Because what was happening is the fruit will fall off the vine, will fall off the tree. It would soak into the soil and it would die. It would return back to the dirt and it would make the soil rich. It would make the soil so rich that everything would just grow. You could just drop a seed and it would just grow. It would be fertile. You understand what I'm telling you? It would be fertile. So here Bill Gates is coming up with a digital code, because these things are digitally coded. Digitally coded food for you that won't die. You don't know the nutritional value. You don't know anything about it, right? It goes on to tell us. And see, these are just small little nuggets that you can get. So you know how our land is going to be ran. You understand how things are going to be done. It's going to be plenteous. You understand? Because why? We're going to follow these scriptures of what they say. Forget this world. They want you in a smart city. They want you in a digital prison. They want you to have to put a chip in your hand and go into the damn grocery store. Make no mistake about it. That's the mark of the beast. Leviticus 19:19. Ye shall keep my statutes Thou shalt not let the cattle gender with a diverse kind. Thou shalt not sow the field with mingled seed, neither shall a garment mingle of linen and woolen come upon thee. All of this genetic splicing, the mixing of seeds. When it comes to animals, they're genetically splicing. You don't know what's what. And that's why it's time to really focus in on paying attention to what we're consuming, because they want to take us away from the most highest frequency as much as possible. They want to take us away from his frequency by serving us that Frankenstein seeds, man. Because I can tell you right now, and you could say, you could say what you will, but listen, these smart cities are just new age concentration camps. When they come, that's all they are, a place that you go to wait to die while artificial intelligence and robots taking over. Seriously, that's all it is. Yep, somebody says killing us while laughing about it. Real talk. The scriptures go on to tell us. And this is real. And this is what we should be doing with all the food that's dying, right? Or the food that is ripe in its due season, but there's no mouths to feed. So their complaint, the reason why they're making these agricultural strides with Bill Gates and them, is because they're saying, well, a lot of the food is dying and the fruits in the grocery store is dying. Let's keep it alive so we don't have to produce as much. We don't have to pay the farmers as much and produce as much. So let's just keep the fruits and vegetables alive. That's their logic, right? Now let's go to the scriptures, what the scriptures tell us, what we should do with fruit, vegetables that are in abundance. We in Leviticus 23 and 22. Let me see. We're in 23 and 22. Here we go. And when ye reap the harvest of your land, thou shalt not make clean riddance of the corners of thy field when thou reapest, neither shalt thou gather any gleaning of thy harvest. Y'all hear that? Thou shalt leave them unto the poor and to the stranger. I am your Lord. You got all these homeless people. You got all these poor people. You got all these people who are starving. You got all these people out here in the streets. It's tent city in the major cities right now. All these people in need of food, but y'all just getting rid of the fruits and vegetables that die in the grocery store. Y'all put a tag on them and say, you know, boom. Oh, the expiration date is this. Let's toss it out. When instead, why not go outside and give the food away? But this society is demonic. They're not trying to feed the people. They're not trying to care for the people. This is why we need our own communities, man, so we can do things the right way. If we got an abundance of fruits and vegetables, feed the poor. Feed those who don't have a meal. I mean, it's really, the word of God is so simplistic in how it's supposed to do things. It's just a damn shame. You understand what I'm saying? But this is why we got to pull ourselves up by the bootstraps and do what we're supposed to do. I do understand that people come into this truth and they believe or they feel like they don't have to do no work. They don't have to put no work in. But you done worked for this society, for this system, a place that'll lay you off your job in a damn New York second, a place that give you ultimatums, telling you got to become one with the matrix. Nanoparticles got to enter your body. Nanotechnology got to enter your body for you to keep a gig. We got to be able to morph your DNA. We got to be able to put you through a metamorphosis just for you to work for our company, because we don't want that God energy. We don't want that chosen one energy around us. So we got to do what we can to basically splice you, hide the VMAT2 gene, just so you can work with these people. You can't come into the truth and think that it's just all get my ears tickled. Oh, let me go hear a good sermon from one of the brothers in the truth. Let me hear the good word of God, but you're not ready to do anything. We got to pull ourselves up. A lot of Israelites want to talk about slavery and what happened in the Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter with our people. And that's understandable. That's so people can get an understanding, right? Where we came from, at least our ancestors. But guess what? Our ancestors, they knew how to farm. Our ancestors, to a degree, were more free than we were. Why? Because they knew all the skills in the trades to self-sustain. Matter of fact, it wasn't until they started putting grocery stores out there where our people really fell off, to the point where we forgot how to farm. We were doing all those things in the fields. And people like to throw slavery up. Well, we didn't work so hard. You know, they didn't took everything we built. Guess what? You're living in a different time right now. You're living in a different time right now where you can build on your own. There's people who are living proof that you can have community. You got Straightway and Pastor Dow. They got communities all over the country. Nothing stopped them. They showed us that that's possible. Now we have access to land as well. We didn't see that it's possible to do it. Now we got to pull ourselves up by the bootstraps and get it done. See, the thing is, your ancestors, they put in work. Only work you put in was for this society, for this system. You didn't put no work in for your people. You haven't done the work. Coming into the truth, there's a status of coming into the truth. Right now, there is, y'all got to understand, everybody coming into this truth, you're not in the truth unless you're acting, unless you're building with your people, unless you're preparing for the times. Because the Bible says, be not hearers of the word, but doers. How many are doers out there? How many just come to hear this word, but you're not willing to put your best foot forward and do? From here on out, nation building is the status quo for being in the truth. Do you understand me, brothers and sisters? Nation building is the status quo. Meaning, what are you doing to build with your people? Are you contributing? I give y'all all kind of outlets, all kind of links to join into, all kind of avenues of how you can get involved. The Love Note system, which is newbreed.love. We also got YahwehGather.us/sisterhood and brotherhood, where we have, and one of our first priority is to get our land developed in North Carolina. We got over 100 acres. We got over 100 acres over there. So we need engineers. We need welders. We need people who have certain skill sets and trades. We need people who are agricultural people, people who know how to plant. We need all these people to join in, link in, and say, you know what? I want to be involved in this, regardless of what you, what beliefs you have, as far as doctrine. It's not about that. It's not about your doctrinal disagreements. It's not about any of that. What this is about is being self-sufficient, because, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna be straight up with you. This is what's coming.
So look at this. You're in London, you're on a business trip, you're staying in Greenwich, and you want to buy some food. So you go into the local Aldi's, like this one, and you think, I'm gonna go in here and buy some food so that I can feed myself. And then you approach the barrier, and look, you can't even get in the shop without having a QR code to scan here or to scan here, and then you can go and buy things. Now this looks to me like the beginning stages of the digital prison that we keep talking about. What do you think?
That's exactly what it is. Micah 4:1 says, but in the last days it shall come to pass that the mountain of the house of the Lord shall be established in the top of the mountains, and it shall be exalted above the hills, and the people shall flow into it. And many nations shall come and say, let us go to the mountain of the Lord, and to the house of Jacob, and he will teach us his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For the law shall go forth of Zion, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. It's time that we start bringing our laws forward. It also goes on to say, and he shall judge among many people and rebuke strong nations afar off, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares and the spears and prune hooks. Nations shall not lift up a sword against the nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. See, this is what we're preparing for. We're preparing for the Messiah to return and judge these nations for their wickedness. And make no mistake about it, that's what's going to happen. Everything that you're seeing going on, what they're doing in this matrix, is a shadow of things to come. We're in the matrix, ladies and gentlemen. And some of y'all are in your initial spiritual awakening right now. Some of you all just came into this truth. And everything is changing around you. You just don't feel the same anymore. You're starting to lose interest in the things you were once interested in. Your friends and family seem to be congregating about you. All of a sudden, you're getting a heightened sense of anxiety around certain individuals, trying to figure out who is who and what is what. And you're hearing the word. There's a lot of teachers out there. There's a lot of preachers. There's a lot of pastors. But in the midst of all of this, you found a place of comfort in truth, which is great. But you know that there's more to it. You know that there's more that needs to be done. You know that everything that is happening in your life and everything that you learn, it must manifest. Things must start going to fruition. There must be certain things that come to pass. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, everybody who's been chosen in this truth, I need you to understand where you're at right now is a shadow of things to come. Some of you all can't imagine where you're going to be just a year from now, 2 years from now. You can imagine the type of work you're going to be doing for the Lord. He is about to make a major change in this plan. He's going to do something that is going to catch all of us off guard. And believers are going to be operating in a whole nother capacity. It ain't going to be just us online talking and having these lessons, right? No, there's going to be people coming together making real powerful moves. You know why? Because the more this digital era comes, the more this digital prison of cell phones, laptops, and so forth, the more this digital prison keeps people captivated, the more the chosen ones are going to recognize the importance of moving accordingly, networking with the right people, linking in and plugging in with the right people. As the scripture says, gather yourselves together, O nation not desired. Gather yourselves together. We're going to understand. We're going to be living like the Hunger Games. It's going to be like the Hunger Games out here. District 12, Candace Aberdeen. Straight up. Why? Because we're going to have no choice. We're going to have no choice. Or you're going to be having to scan yourself to get in and out of the grocery stores. There's going to be certain apps on the phones in these smart cities that's going to be checking your temperature. And they're going to have certain organizations that are going to come by people's homes, snatch them up, quarantine them, keep them isolated. That's what's coming. New breed, you fear mongering. All right, now wait 10 years from now when it's happening. Then what you going to say? If you're afraid, that means you have, let me tell you something. If you're a person who is afraid, when I'm telling you what's going to take place, that means you have no intentions. You have absolutely no intentions at all to move accordingly. You're going to stay in your same selfish energy. You're going to stay in your same bubble that you're in. And that's going to be the death for you. The fact that you're trying to save your life is what's going to make you lose your life. The fact that you're not going to have the courage to sustain something and pull your britches up and sustain something that you can call your own. One thing about it, when we get our land established, there will be no rent. Do you hear me, ladies and gentlemen? There will be no rent. No. The land will make its own riches. You won't be paying no mortgage. You will be building a home on your land and it will be yours. Do you understand that? You understand that that's freedom? Do you understand that this is possible for us? Do you understand there's other brothers in truth who done this? And it's our time. Our time is coming. Do you believe the Most High blessed us with such abundance for no reason? How many of you all, at the sound of my voice, are living in a neighborhood where you're being gang-stalked? By show of ones, how many of you all are living in a neighborhood where you don't know your neighbors and they give you strange vibes? By show of ones. How many of you all feel like you're being watched in your community? That's a lot of ones I'm seeing. How many of you all, and some people are not going to be honest about this, but how many of you all are 2 paychecks away from being on the streets? Meaning if you miss 2 paychecks, you ain't going to be able to pay your rent. How many? If you're going to keep it honest, keep it a buck with me, keep it 1,000 with me. What if I told you all there's a solution, and the way we've been living is a curse, and it's no way to live. There's no way for a man to live that way, or a woman, or a family to live that way. How many of you all live in communities where you're very close to your neighbors? Meaning they're side by side, upstairs, downstairs. How many of you all have experienced noise campaigns coming from neighbors? Meaning they're just making noises. How many of you all work 40 hours plus? And by the time you're about to get paid again, you're scrounging for gas money. Somebody said, what's the solution? The solution is communal living. Unlimited potential farm ground or campground. The thing is, ladies and gentlemen, the Most High's people have been preparing for the time such as the one we're living in. And this society, they're clearly not going to give us what we deserve. They're allowing all these foreign troops to come in. They're financing their whole lifestyle, college, housing, you name it, they're financing it. Meanwhile, the people who were placed in slavery on the transatlantic slave trade, who built this country, they're not giving them any reparations. And let's make this clear. Reparations is not a reward. It's our actual inheritance. But they're giving our inheritance to other nations. So what do? We get ourselves together. We pull ourselves up by the bootstraps and do what is necessary. I'm wondering if I still have that one particular video with MLK. I want y'all to listen to this one right here.
I think you'll find, sir, that there will come a time when black people wake up and become intellectually independent enough to think for themselves, as other humans are intellectually independent enough to think for themselves. Then the black man will think like a black man, and he will feel for other black people. And this new thinking and feeling will cause black people to stick together. And then at that point, you'll have a situation where when you attack one black man, you are attacking all black men. And this type of black thinking will cause all black people to stick together. And this type of thinking also will bring an end to the brutality inflicted upon black people by white people. And it is the only thing that will bring an end to it. No federal court, state court, or city court will bring an end to it. It's something that the black man has to bring an end to himself.
And that's very important right there. See, until we can learn to stick together, brothers and sisters, until we can learn to live among each other. How can we be a beacon of light to the Gentiles? And I was actually looking for a Martin Luther King speech. I actually clicked the wrong one. Forgive me for that. I was looking for a Martin Luther King when it was talking about getting the land that's owed to us. But, you know, Malcolm X, nonetheless, he makes a very valid point because, listen, our land are going to be open to our people and people of the other nations. But we got to be able to stick together first. You know, we got to be able to build together first. So that makes sense as well. But together, we are unstoppable. Real talk. I don't know if I still have that Martin Luther King particular video clip, but he was talking about going to DC, and I believe that was the speech that got him killed. When he was talking about going to DC and getting back the land that was owed. Getting back the land that was owed. And I must have gotten rid of that clip or something, but anyway, it is what it is. That's the Martin Luther King speech a lot of people don't talk about. Ladies and gentlemen, I really want to condescend to you brothers and sisters to the lowest level. Here's the thing. The reason why the Most High chose you to come out of this world, the reason why you just don't feel comfortable in certain places is because he's tugging at you and he's pulling at you to live set apart, to actually live set apart. How many of you all watching this video go to certain places in public, and for some odd reason, you feel like you're on a whole nother frequency than everybody else? It's like you looking around, you looking at the people, and they on a whole nother vibe. Their momentum is different from yours. It's like you just feel odd. You feel like totally out of place. You just don't feel like you belong there, almost like an alien, somebody from another dimension, like you were sent here to observe this place. Somebody said, that's exactly how I feel. Yep, at work especially. See, it's a reason why the Lord installed those type of feelings in you. It's a reason why he designed you to be so peculiar and strange. It's a reason why sometimes you walk in places and people just stare. You don't know why they're staring. And you're like, wow, why everybody in my face? Because you're unique. This life you living in, you're the main character. In a movie, in the simulation, in a matrix, everybody else is just background character. The only ones who are real are the ones doing the will of the Father. The chosen ones, the enlightened ones are the main characters. Everybody else is just background characters. They've been casted, they're there, but they really don't exist. I'm not trying to go over your heads, but you are truly in the matrix. So once the chosen ones plug in, it's over. You got to understand, once the chosen ones are linked in with each other, it's over. Ladies and gentlemen, once we understand unity and we get out of our selfishness, and this goes for everybody who is listening to this video, you got to get out of your selfishness. If you all about you and yours, you're not ready for what's to come. See, the Most High wants us to plead face to face in the wilderness with each other and in the face of the Most High. A lot of you all think you in the truth. You think that you know the scriptures. You think you know the Bible. You think you know everything there is to know. You think you're wise too. But you've never been in a setting where you were around nothing but righteousness, righteous people, chosen ones, everybody who's striving to reach a common goal. You've never been in that atmosphere. The things that you could do in the world, whether it be you talking about somebody, chit-chatting, the little things that you do, the little character flaws that you have, you know, the little things that you've been holding on to, because it's like y'all trying to keep things that you can hold on to in this world. You think you're going to miss out on things. So you're real apprehensive about getting 10 toes down in the truth and saying, you know what, Lord, use me in the way you would have me be used. And I'm willing to build a nation, build the kingdom. It's time. It's time. It's like you're holding on to something that's a figment of your imagination. You're holding on to something that the devil is just dangling in front of you. It's like this whole society is like a carrot that they're dangling in your face to stop you from being self-sufficient, to stop you from building on your own. You got to get 10 toes down. You have to have the desire to want to be whole. You have to have the desire to want to be a whole person, man, outside of this matrix, outside of the nonsense, the cheap thrills, the fake food. You got to be willing to go all the way in, because some of y'all knew y'all were different since childhood. Literally. Since you were in elementary school, you knew, like, yo, I don't fit in. I don't belong here. But I don't think you understood, brothers and sisters, to what extent. To what extent didn't you belong here? Was it just, oh, I'm spiritually different, I'm set apart, but you live among these people, you interact with these people on a daily basis, you seem to be partaking in some of the things they do? Or was it that the Most High was like, you really don't belong here, physically, mentally, or spiritually? I believe the Lord was telling you since a child that you didn't belong here at all, mentally, physically, and spiritually. And there was going to come a time in your life that you were going to have to make a choice. See, something happened when we were children. We knew we didn't belong, even though we may not have had the resources growing up. We may not have had the covering, the proper covering from our parental care. We might not have had people looking out for us like we should have growing up. But you knew that there was something better as a child. But something happened in your life that killed your spirit. They killed your spirit. You thought that you have to work for these people forever until you die, or quote unquote retire. And that's life. And that, you go to church on Sunday, you give your little tithes and offerings, but you keep falling back into the same sins because the pastor not teaching you how to overcome sin, because he needs sin, just like the therapist needs you to have mental issues. They need you to come back and get that ear tickling, so they can send you back on your merry way and you back into the streets. And it's a vicious cycle where you repenting, going back into church, giving the pastor the money. He's driving Benzes and Beamers and all of that, Lexuses and all of that, right? And you still struggling. You still struggling financially. You still struggling in every which way. Still struggling with your vices and your demons. Why? Because they're not teaching the laws of the Lord. They're not holding people accountable in the churches. So they did a lot to try to kill that spirit you had as a child, when you used to sit there and veer off and your imagination would run wild of all the places and the things that you would do. You thought about freedom. You were blessed and cursed, because you were blessed to have such insight. Some of you all knew things other kids didn't even know. You were thinking about things nobody else was thinking of. The Lord was literally installing certain things in you to prepare you for such a time. Because make no mistake about it, everybody watching the stream, you were prepared to be here in this time. It's up to you from what capacity you operate, or if you're on the left or right hand side. Either way, you all part of it. And society just kept hitting you. Psychological warfare, hitting your conscience. But as a child, you knew, I can do great things. Like the possibilities were limitless. So what happened to that? Satan stole a lot of people's drive. People believe they got to sell their soul to get abundance in life. That's a lie from the enemy. Believing anybody who can acquire something has to sell their soul to get there Anybody who can be successful or have nice things or be quote unquote rich, because there's nothing wrong with being rich either. There's nothing wrong with having plenty of goods and substance. We got to realize that the kings of old were rich. They were very wealthy. Don't you understand when we chosen ones leave Babylon, it tells us in the scriptures that we will be plenteous in goods? They don't tell us we're going to be leaving this place struggling. When it talks about our departure, we will be good. Why? Because we will be in an atmosphere where we can establish ourselves on our own, serving the Most High the way we're supposed to, not holding on to the little carrot that the devil been dangling. We're supposed to be building with like-minded people. We're supposed to be set apart. And that's that feeling that you always felt. You always felt peculiar. There's times that y'all used to veer off, just veer off as a child. And there were complex thoughts that were being implanted. And now that you are full-grown adults and you hear and you're in the now, you need to acquire that innocence again. Matter of fact, there's a scripture that tells us when they asked Christ who would inherit the kingdom, he says, he brought a child there. He said, they who be like this child, that's who's going to inherit the kingdom. Now, what did Christ mean by that? They who be like this child. I mean, everything that you learned, everything that warped your perception in life has to be trashed, has to be cleansed and detoxed, the renewal of the mind. What else does a child have? They have a clean slate. That's what he meant, a clean slate. Children don't have pride. Children don't have all these degrees and these jobs and these incomes, and we're making this amount of money or that amount of money. Somehow we have pride and believe that we got all the answers because you done got some position that the world didn't gave you. Because they didn't gave you some title, and now you think you too good to build with the Most High's people. Now you think you too good to have something on your own. You got a lot of people who love these cities. They love being in the matrix. They love being in population centers, as Pastor Dow calls them. They love being in areas where there's no light, no nature, no wooded areas. Places where you can't go fishing and camping and it's nothing but chaos, mass shootings everywhere, filth, pollution. Do you think God's chosen people are supposed to want to be in those areas? I say let the dead bury the dead. People who want to be in the midst and all in the chaos right there, I say let them be there. Let them be in the concrete jungle if that's where they choose to stay. And no disrespect to the people in the concrete jungle, because there's a lot of brothers that's coming out. And make no mistake about it, once the brothers of truth come out of the concrete jungle, it's going to fall all together. It's going to fall all together, because where there's no counsel, the Bible tells you where there's no counsel, the multitudes fall. Meaning if there's no leadership, no men of the Lord there in those places, because men of the Lord are moving out of major cities purposely. They like, you know what? I can see what's coming. I'm reading this Bible. I'm seeing what type of moves they making. I need to get to a place where I can fish, where I can have a well, where I can plant a garden, where it's wooded areas where I can hunt. Real men are thinking like that. Real men are thinking about man thoughts. You understand? And they're moving accordingly. And once these real men get out of the city, the Lord gonna say, okay, I'm gonna do this place like Sodom and Gomorrah. I'm gonna do this place like Sodom and Gomorrah. It's gonna rain hell, fire, and brimstone in a lot of these places. Some of you brothers gotta ask yourself, are you around women who gonna look back like Lot's wife and get turned into a pillar of salt? Y'all think that story didn't have a meaning to it? Oh, she loves Sodom and Gomorrah. So a lot of you brothers holding on to certain women in these cities, you won't leave because that woman won't leave. The moment you out of this, she gonna be turned to a pillar of salt too. Her along with the rest of Sodom, because that's what these places are turning into, Sodom. Real talk. And you got to be willing to detach from anybody who's holding you back from the mission at hand. And then what I mean by that, anybody standing in your way of serving the Most High in righteousness and truth and spirit. If they standing in the way, they not for you. They're going to say, man, you must be joining some kind of cult. You know, when we had our off-grid camping trip, they telling people, you know, a lot of people said, their family members say, well, why would you go in the woods or go on, it wasn't really woods. Why would you go on this acreage of land with these people? Which we had a beautiful time there on the campgrounds. People's family was like, why would you do that? Would you join in some kind of cult? That's the way they think. But if you tell them, mom, dad, sister, brother, listen, the reason I'm going out there and building with these people, because they are like-minded. They're preparing for the times to come, meaning they have, you know, they have dug wells, they have the camp supplies, they have the trailer set up, they're getting ready for what's to come. They want to build small homes. I think this is a good idea, seeing as how we're struggling anyway, seeing as how everything seems to be going to hell in a handbasket in this country. I think it's a good idea. They're going to look at you like you crazy. Why? Because at that instant, you put a glitch in their matrix. How could we all be on a freight train headed to a crash collision course and nobody sees it? Within the last 20 years, things then got worse and worse and worse. You done had 3 economic revolutions in the last 20 years. You done had homelessness go up almost 300% in the last 20 years. You done had violent crimes go up expeditiously. Robberies, break-ins. You done had our economy pretty much crash, and the price of living don't match what we're making. You done had all these things happening. So let me get this right. You got all these things happening, and it doesn't seem to be getting any better. And people don't seem to be wanting us to even prepare for it. That's insane to me. That's crazy. That's a person to me that's negligent. Just like if you know something is going wrong in your life, you know there's certain things you need to do. If you procrastinate on doing certain things, then it's going to be a problem at the end. Somebody said, Jasmine said, absolutely, the economy is done. It is. It's done. It's over, people, and it's not going to get no better. If you're waiting for the next presidential candidate to step up to the plate and bring the economy back to where it once was, you're sadly mistaken. That's not how this is going to go down. If you want to fall for the charades of these political games they like to play, then so be it. Meanwhile, in between time, righteous people are going to be moving accordingly. Righteous people are going to be getting ready for what's to come. And we're not moving in fear either. I believe that people who are stagnant in comfort are more afraid than people who are making moves. I believe that people who are afraid are people who are locked in the comfort zone, afraid to make certain moves, are scared to take chances. Listen, the Lord is not dealing with people who are not ready to be used. He's not dealing with people who are not ready to be used. Let me be very clear about that. From the words of Bruce Lee, move like water. You got to have motion out here. You got to have motion. And I can tell you, when I first came into the truth, personal testimony here, I never thought that I'd be sitting amongst African dignitaries. I never thought that I'd be sitting amongst the vice president of Liberia. I never thought I'd be in a position to have access to over 4,000 acres of land, if you including Liberia. I never thought that when I first came into the truth, the Most High would use me the way he did. But one thing I knew for sure when I came into the truth, I knew I was willing to be used by the Creator at any capacity he would have me. I was humble enough to serve. And when I came into the truth, hey, listen, I was ready to serve at whatever level he would have used me as. But I knew I didn't want part of that system no more. Even back then, I knew that that wasn't the know all be all. And it was a curse knowing that I can see what life's supposed to be like opposed to what I was living in. It would vex me in the spirit. I would be vexed in the spirit knowing that this can't be it. This have to be a matrix. I don't feel like I'm in my place. I don't feel right relying on another man for everything. I had this sense of independence, but I didn't know what the Lord was going to do with it. I never knew that when I came into this truth that the same land that was offered to Marcus Garvey would be offered to me and my constituents and peers. I never thought that things would happen this way, but it's happening that way. And I'm not saying these things to brag, but I want to make this very clear. I'm one of the last modern day revolutionaries walking this earth right now. The Lord has used me in a great way. And I have to say this because it's like a lot of people don't see it because I'm here. Because you have accessibility to me. Because I'm so down to earth. Because I stream daily. And the work that the Lord has done, the work that he's put me forth to do, it can't be ignored. And I got to make this thing clear to people because I know who I am. I know who the Lord blessed me to be. But it's like the scripture says, there's a scripture that says people will be in the midst of a prophet or a king and not even know it until they're gone. Because there's so many distractions out here. And you don't even get what the Lord is doing. And none of this, again, I'm a very humble person, but I be finding the need to let people know what it is. It's like, y'all, don't take the work for granted. And get involved. Because anybody who is bumping shoulders with myself, the UNY, actually helping us build and doing what we need to do to stand on our own as people, they're going to be greatly rewarded at the end. Not only them, not only are they going to be greatly rewarded for their participation, but their children's children will have an inheritance. Now, the Bible says a righteous man's children's children have an inheritance. So if you're a righteous man, you're supposed to leave an inheritance for your grandchildren. Your grandchildren's supposed to inherit the land that you have. The resources of the land that your grandchildren's supposed to inherit it. We got to turn this curse around, y'all. They'll give you dollars. They'll give you a nice paycheck and a degree. But guess what? When you're in the grave, somebody else is going to move in your home. You're going to have a home that moths corrupt and thieves break into. And your children's children ain't inherit a damn thing. You did nothing for your family. I don't understand how you could be like that as a man, not thinking about leaving nothing behind for your family. Not thinking about the long run. So let me get this right. You want them to go out into the world and follow the same vicious cycle of working a 9 to 5, doing this and doing that, and then struggling at the end. And no disrespect to people working a 9 to 5 and doing what they're doing. But the point I'm trying to make is you don't want your children to go through what you're going through. It's about time you plug in with righteous people and see how you can be of assistance. Because we want you to have your own land. We want you to have a couple acres somewhere. We want you to invest in your own interests. We need to start putting our money together and making this thing shake. Putting our money together. See, when you're a man, right, and you have your peers and you have your brothers, it should be nothing for you to transaction thousands of dollars between each other like it's nothing. That's what the banking system did to get what they got. That's how, the mafia and the mob, this is how they stay ruling, because everything is in a pot. Everything is networking. Only real ones know what I'm talking about. When you're able to trade thousands of dollars between each other to get supplies and get this and get that, one hand washes the other. Nobody falls. Nobody goes without. There are no ulterior motives. Everybody is of one mind. That's how we're supposed to live as people. The children of Israel always lived that way. They got you in this dog eat dog. I got to shoot, kill, set my brother up. I got to compete with my brother. I got to fight this person. I got to fight that person for you to have something. Everybody's in competition, crabs in a bucket. Nobody wants to be together in this. That's not how we're supposed to be. That ain't how the children of Israel were successful. It's too much individualism. Got that word out. Individualism, individuality. Too much of that. It should be nothing for me to be like, yo, King Connect. Yo, here's 2,000. Go get this for the land. Drive out there, get that. Put that on the land, or I hit, let me see who else in the chat. And I should be able to trust this person and do what I asked them to do. Or I see, let me see, God chose me. I see him in there. I'm like, hey, yo, God chose me. Yo, send me 500, man. I'm about to go down here. We're going to gas this up. And I got to gas the trucks up so we can do this and do that. See, it should be nothing for that. It should be nothing. Because you know that y'all think in the same mind. And their money is just a tool. Their money is nothing more than a tool where the ends justify the means. Where it's like, all right, this is what we need to do. And you know that person you sent your money to, everything they said they're going to do, it's going to happen exactly like that. That's what the UNY is. This is what we do. Why? Because we all have the same goal at mind. There is no selfishness. You're never going to get... Listen, that's something you are never going to get in the city. That's something you never going to get with the world. People will cut your throat, kick you, stab you in the back, throw you off a cliff before, they have selflessness. That's what it's going to take. Men of truth to really understand the mission and have trust in each other. See, one thing about it is, man, we talking today. A lot of brothers just do not trust each other. You need to judge a man by his fruits. If you see a brother putting in that work, waking up the children of the Most High, they about what they say they've displayed integrity. They're not known for doing no dirt. Listen, you got to trust those type of people. You got to trust those people where their reputation precedes itself. Stop trying to find fault. Stop trying to find flaws in their character, because listen, you're looking for a mote in your brother's eyes and you got issues too. Stop doing that. And put trust in the shepherds, the prophets, and teachers that the Most High put before us. Because a lot of times that stops us from building together as brothers, and we got to build together. See, anybody know me, right? You got to be about this work to even get close to me. Meaning, the scriptures tell you when you doing the work, you will be amongst great people, amongst great kings. If you're doing the same thing I'm doing, we're going to cross paths. That's how it works. I got friends that I ain't talked to in many, many years, but they doing the same kind of work I'm doing. So guess what? We end up crossing paths again. Why? Because we are like-minded. That's how it's supposed to be. I cross paths with you is because you're doing the same thing I'm doing. Meaning your interests are my interests. It was nothing like when I was in Liberia. And I told this story before, but I was at Ambassador Sorbo's house. We were sitting around a round table. Dignitaries. People who had influence, power, and the authority to change certain laws, put certain bills in place, and do certain things in Liberia. And I'm sitting at this table of men. And I think Ambassador Sorbo, his son had to be like maybe 12 years old. If that. He may have been younger. He calls him in the room. And this young man, very articulate and very well versed on nation building, on what it's going to take. He was talking about gathering people to do a cleaning initiative. And the way he was wording everything, it was just like this young man, all this young man knows is being a man already. At 12 years old, all he's talking about is how to build his nation up. What can be done to benefit the people agriculturally, economically, and so forth. And we sitting around this round table in this country that has issues, that has its problems, just like we have our problems. And there's this poverty, just like we have poverty. But at the same time, we were sent there to scope out the land. And the land was rich as far as agriculture. But I'm sitting here, and for the first time, regardless of the status of the country, it's not about that. These are men that I'm sitting amongst. Why? Because they have the authority to change. This is their country. They realize it's their country, and they're the ones responsible for what happens there. They're operating as a nation. So at that moment, I realized that for all this time, I haven't really been a real man, because a man is going to have global responsibilities. Just like the founding fathers of America, they sat around a round table and the women went and go stitch the flags together. They were bringing tea and crumpets and stitching the flag. But guess what? These men were talking about how to build America. And I thought about all of these things, and I said, this is what Israelites supposed to be doing. Not just Bible all day, debating scripture all day. But I said to myself, this is what being an Israelite is about. Building our nation. We are a nation of people. If we don't step up and say, all right, we're going to look at this, we're going to do this thing as a nation. We're going to do this. Let's build up our land. If we don't do it, who else going to do it? If I don't do it, who else going to do it? The Gentile nation is not going to give us nothing. We're going to have to pull ourselves up out of this. And from that moment on, I changed. Do I just want to be a motivational speaker that get online and talk? Tickle your ears? Get donations and contributions? But I'm not doing nothing? God forbid. God forbid. You know why? That would make me no different than your pastor. No different. that will make me no different than TD Jakes, Creflo Dollar. And listen, when it comes to them, I'm going to say this, I'm going to say this loud and clear, right? And it's going to piss a lot of you Israelites off. I get it. But this is true what I'm about to say. TD Jakes, Creflo Dollar, at least they got land and farms. At least they got a few communities sprinkled out. Yeah. Oh, I know that pissed you off. Because I need to show you how at the bottom you so-called awakened Israelites are. I need to show you how at the bottom you are. Even though I believe, although those guys are false prophets, let's make no mistake about it. They're false prophets, and they're going to lead you to hell. And they look at Jesus as a business, and they're wicked as hell. And they're not teaching you deliverance, and they're fleecing the flock of people. Make no mistake about that. This is all true. But I need to show you Israelites how far at the bottom we are when it comes to being men and owning and running our nation. We say we're the nation of Israel. Let me show you how low you really are. You have nothing. Nothing. You're at the very bottom. You got to rely on them people for your food, clothes, shelter, and raiment. You're still under the curse. You think because your ministry is successful that you're not under the curses? You're still under the curses. You're just in the matrix. And see, there's a big difference between myself and a lot of these content creators, and I need y'all to see the difference. It's a big difference between me and them. I'm not here to just make money. Of course, YouTube is a business. And I'm not going to do YouTube for free. That's stupid when I invest so much time in it. But at the same time, there's a place for ministry and there's a place for business. Ministry is not just speaking the gospel. You're living in a time right now where the truth is a needed commodity. It is. But at the same time, the ministry should also go into the actual work, the footprint. It's more to it than just talking. Let's see, somebody said, I'm thankful for the Lord has humbled me to a degree that I understand what must be done. Absolutely. Yo, Ice Gold, thanks for the 20, says, always had that mindset, but was never in the right circle. It hurts when you have selflessness, but others around you don't learn. From watching my pops build in Africa growing up. Thanks for doing the work. We shall join soon. Absolutely. See, he got exposed to seeing that. That's wonderful. And think about it. The same way I see Ambassador Sorbo's son. Very intellectual, a young man, understanding the dynamics of nation building. We supposed to have our sons the same way. Listen, there was a time, man, with the children of Israel, the men of Israel, we were in order, bro. Like when you read these scriptures, to be an Israelite man was different. We had everything in order. Our sons knew what the goal was. Our sons knew the mission. Do you understand? Like it was all about family. It was all about legacy. It was all about dynasty. It was all about our land. It was all about making moves. We even had our standing army. We had people. We had our, military. It was a different atmosphere from what you're seeing with these camps. Yeah, they look like a military because you see them doing their little Masonic steps all in the streets or whatever. They look to be nation building, but they're not. They're churches. They're 501c3 churches. I'm just telling it like it is. They claim that they're nation building when they're building churches. Within Africa, we're plugged in with all the tribal communities there. We know what's going on politically. Any camp out here claiming that they're nation building in Africa is lying. All right. They're not nation building. They do have churches. They do have churches, but they're not plugged in with the dignitaries. So you have to have permission to do certain things out there. So when you hear, I've heard a camp, and I'm not going to say their name right now, but they know that they lied. They know that he told a bold-faced lie. Elder Nathaniel lied out his teeth. But anyway, let him lie, because that's what they built on, lies. Anyway, I'm just speaking the truth. Got on some show, I think it was on Jason Whitlock, and claimed that he's nation building in Liberia. That's a lie. We're in Liberia. Why would you disrespect us that way when we want you to be nation building with us? We the ones who have access to the land they gave us. You're building a church there. You're not nation building, sir. If you were, I would know. But see, this is the kind of games they play. Anyway, I'm not going to go on no rant about that. It doesn't matter. The bottom line is they're 501c3. They're building churches. Nation building and church building is two different things. We've had churches since the dawn of time. We had the Christian church. We had churches everywhere. It really did our community no service. Only thing it does is line up the pockets of those who run these churches. So let's be very clear about that. I just tell the truth, man. Shame the devil. Tell the truth. Shame the devil. Yep, somebody said Proverbs 12:23, a prudent man concealeth knowledge, but the heart of a fool proclaimeth foolishness. The hand of the diligent shall bear rule. Yep, but the slothful shall be under tribute. Yep, if you slothful, if you lazy, if you're not really about making no moves, you'll see what happens. Yeah, and I'm not saying these things to disrespect IUIC or whatever the case is, because to be quite frank with you, I would love for them to plug in and actually nation build, but I don't like lies. He got on the show and said they're building community in Liberia. No, they're building a church, and there's a difference. You got churches all over here. That's not community. And it's kind of disrespectful when you know that there's brothers who are Israelites who have access to 4,000 acres of land. We can fit IUIC in every letter group can fit in that land and have their own piece of land if they really wanted to live set apart. But don't try to act like what we're doing. If your goal is to make money, build a church, teach the truth, because listen, there's a place for them too. They teach the truth too. They're just not living it. And what I mean by that is they're not living communal living. I don't know what they're doing in their personal lives, but I'm saying there's a lot of people who woke up watching IUIC in different camps and not in things of that nature. But there's another level. It's the level of getting the book smarts and the information. And then there's a level of actually getting a footprint. And that's what they're afraid of. The powers that be are afraid of us being action oriented and making moves, being prudent enough to prepare, being disciplined enough to walk it out. And me personally, I don't rock with none of the camps. None of them. I really don't. That's just me. No disrespect to them. I don't rock with none of them. I'm not even loosely associated with them. Now, of course, if those brothers want to reach out to my peers and want to get involved, they know how to reach out just like you all. Y'all will gather that as brotherhood, sisterhood. Yep, somebody said you got to get the knowledge and put it into action. Exactly. Yep, somebody says, how's the winters out there, Bree? Where, North Carolina or here? This is hot Atlanta, where I'm in Georgia, so the winters don't get too bad here. But, hopefully this word really promoted some thought. I see everybody saying wolves in sheep's clothing. Hey, listen, hey. I only can speak what I know about them, and I know that that was a lie they told on Jason Whitlock when Nathaniel was asked about community. He got compared to Pastor Dow, and not compared to him. Whitlock asked IUIC or Bishop Nathaniel, hey, Pastor Dow has community. Are y'all into community? He said, yeah, well, we do have community in Liberia. That was a lie. Doesn't have community in Liberia. He has a church in Liberia. We're the only ones who have community there, or have the access to build community there. Meaning we know the politicians, we're good with the tribal community and things of that nature. And if they had a community there, if anybody would know, it would be us. You understand? So it was just a lie. You understand? It was disrespectful because we reached out to all the camps. What made it so disrespectful is the fact that brothers was like, hey, we got access to all this land. And I've done this publicly. All the camps, every Israelite camp you watching right now, brothers and sisters, they have enough land through us if they would like to. And it ain't about us. It's about the fact that it ain't just our land. It's their land. So with all the times y'all been tithing, building their churches up, you need to hold the pressure to them. Because if they serious about, an exodus, if they serious about building on community and really truly being set apart, then hey, you should ask why we ain't just getting out of here? Why we not building towards that? That's a question you can ask all the camps. We're reaching out to whoever. We got enough to fit everybody. It don't belong to us, it's y'all's. For some reason, the Most High just choose us to give it to be the ones that go scout out the land and build with the community and build those connections. We just the plug, that's all. So it's no disrespect to them, but I don't like lies either. I don't like the people getting finessed and fooled. Damn, somebody said 2,000 in Cali just for a studio apartment. See, that's crazy. But anyway, we got to start making moves, man. Are these camps and churches just collecting bread, or, put it to use? Put it to use. Or is it just churches? What are we doing here? Shout out to Straightway, Pastor Dow. Shout out to them. I like what they doing. But, all praises to the Most High. Turn that post notification bell on, y'all, so you can get these videos as they're being uploaded. This has been a Sabbath lesson for the day. I got more content coming. If you're not subscribed to my other channel, go over there and subscribe, as well as get yourself some love notes, newbreed.love. Every $10 donation, you get yourself a love note, which will give you discount on future merchandise and merchandise that's on the site. Show your support. And it also goes a long way for us developing the land, right? Also, ladies and gentlemen, join me on my other channel, New Breed Universal ENT. More content coming. Look, y'all be safe out here. Shalom. Peace.